My first guest is a writer, a poet, a visual storyteller. She is the author of Days of Silence and Sundays. She has a passion for amplifying unheard voices and shedding light on sensitive themes. She seeks to inspire change and foster meaningful dialogues through impactful storytelling. In 2001, she launched Poetry and Tea Events, a creative safe space for poetry lovers and creatives to connect and heal through poetry and tea. With a background in psychology, mental health, and well being are common themes explored in her works. She is currently living in Belgium with her family. I am so pleased to welcome Angel Patricks.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
see me?
yes, I
Thank
can hear
you.
you. I can
I was
hear
trying to
you.
find the perfect, the lights. I think you are not in a very winter.
Lovely
It's
to e-connect with
oh,
you.
yes,
Finally. Let me
yeah.
remove this from my screen. Okay. Wow. This is so interesting because we followed each other very, very long time, but we never
That's
really got
true.
to talk. But I have always felt your energy.
Same here.
It's like, wow, there's something about this lady.
There's
And
something about
you
you.
kind of intrigue me every single time. See, this is one of the power of social media because some people actually just have it. And you're one of those people, I would say, you've got
Oh,
that thing that
oh, Clara,
keep your
stop.
name
Let's
in
not
my
start
head.
this on the on an emotional. Thank you for your kind words. You
No,
too.
it's true.
I really curate from time to time the people that I follow, and honestly, it has nothing to do with the number of following, or it's just if you add value to my page, because you know how we can drown in social media.
I
So I
know.
want to see like all the positivity popping up on my page. So
I know. I
same right back at you.
thank you. I appreciate it so much. I'm going to dive into it. I've read your bio.
Okay.
And wow, okay. I didn't even know you have a background in psychology. But this is the series, as I mentioned to you, is African Women in Diaspora, Europe specifically series. I mean, I will expand with time, but now my focus is in Europe. I feel that our voice, I feel like I'm not hearing us enough. UK women, African women are really on their top game. America in USA on their top game. I mean, I see them, I hear them, but I feel like I don't hear us in Europe enough. I don't know if it's just me, please. I mean, put me wrong. But however, so I'm very honored that you said yes to this interview because I want us to keep telling our story, bring it out. This is how we can move forward. This is how we can be heard. So what's your story? What's your journey? How did you come about? What brought you to Europe? Like I have so many questions.
You can shoot. Let's start with what brought me to Europe. So
Right.
I think I just got I just got tired of the life I was living, and I wanted certain things for my life, and I knew that I couldn't achieve them where I was. It really has nothing to do with um the destination. Even though I
Mm,
knew where I wanted to go to, I knew where I wanted to relocate to. And at that time, I would turn down opportunities if it was not aligning, with my end destination. But for
right.
me, I wanted a certain sort of security for my life that I didn't
Mm,
have at that point. And I knew that I had to take responsibility for it. And it was just time to change environment. So even the year that I left wasn't the year that I already started planning to leave. It was like
really?
right after my school year. So I wanted to relocate to France. I already started learning French from Nigeria. I was going to French school. I really did see myself living in France. Of course, I'm not currently living in France because
You're in
life
Belgium, yes.
I'm in Belgium, yes. And then love happened, so I ended up in Belgium. So I met my
So wait,
partner.
you moved by yourself. You didn't even move because of you're married, because that's the assumption most people have. Immediately they say black girl in Europe is like, oh, she has been rescued, from the tigers in Africa.
No, I haven't been rescued because I was trying to rescue my own self. I mean, it's not
You're
also
trying to
as
rescue yourself.
yeah,
That's a big one.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I had my plans, and but then also you have to weigh your options when martyrs of the heart arise, you know. So
Mm.
I was going to move to France before I met my partner.
Wow.
And even when I met him, I did move to Belgium because of him, but I was still following that plan again, which was to go and study French in France. And then the hope was to further my education, you know, do my master's in France and then just live the French life. But
Wow.
that didn't happen because I had already met my partner even while I was in Nigeria. So we were talking. So I knew that I had to redirect. But it
But
was a
wait,
good
are you
thing.
actually a Nigerian? See, I don't even.
No way, you just
No,
asked me
I
a
didn't know
question.
that. I'm
We are going to
sorry.
end this. We are going to end this interview.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know
This
you're
is a
Nigerian.
question that gets on my nerves. Like I can't even explain it. I am Nigerian, and I get these questions from Nigerians, so it hurts.
Pardon me. I didn't know. I didn't know.
I
I
know
don't
you
even know
didn't
where
know
I was
anyways,
thinking you
but
were
I don't
from,
think you didn't
but I
know.
could think Ghana, you know.
Really?
Re Yeah. Where from Nigeria are you from?
I'm from Edo State, but I lived like all my life in the north. So I
Wow.
could claim that I'm from the north, but because I
Wow.
really don't have the connection with I love my people, but I haven't really I've been to my state like twice. And that's the thing with identity. Maybe we will get there during this conversation,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yes,
I'm
I struggle
getting
with
there.
that.
Okay, wait. Now that you moved to France and from France to Belgium, so you got to
Mhm.
really establish this new life, even though you had like the big dream already for yourself. Matter of the heart happened. Family, you have to start growing the family and you have to balance yourself. I understand this, process. So how were you able to navigate this and really like balance your life if it's balanced?
I'm still trying. I don't think I haven't figured it out, 100%, but yeah, I take one day at a time and
Mm,
moments at a time when one day at a time seem like really, really big. And I try to also prioritize my mental health a lot. I try to prioritize my peace. So if everything feels overwhelming, I think I'm grateful that I am discerning to know when to return to myself and just um yeah, fill my cup up and then, and
yeah,
pour back into whether it's career, whether it's my marriage, whether
mm,
it's
your child. Mm.
yeah, yeah. So that's how I try to
Mm.
balance. It doesn't always work,
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah, we're all trying to figure it all out. So would you say that you are integrated, well integrated in Belgium right now? I mean, when you say integration, you talk about language, food wise, people, friends,
Hmm.
social network, things like that. Would you say that you've found your food, you know?
I think so. You really, as an immigrant, I don't know if it's the same for you because I know that you also migrated from Nigeria to Spain, as
Denmark and
we
now
I
in
live in
Spain.
Denmark and then yeah.
Yes.
So I think as an immigrant, there's like the way I analyze it is that you're floating,
Mm,
and where you call home is really where your heart is, as cliche as this sounds.
mm,
So
mm,
if we're measuring integration on the basis of language, food, adjusting to the weather and the life here, I would say that I have integrated.
okay.
Um, but then you I don't know if it's just me, you never 100% feel like you're home. I
Mm-mm.
feel more at home though than the years before
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And I think that came from me being a mother, you
Uh,
know.
mm.
So, and then you watch your child grow and this is their life.
This is what they
So,
want. Mm.
yeah, this is what they know exactly.
Mm.
And you see that, okay, you kind of have planted a seed here and it's growing. So that give me that kind of gives me the sense of integration. And then also with certain things that I have achieved and just the peace that I get more and more now than I used to have before makes me feel like I have integrated. So if we're measuring, based on.
Yeah, but I understand. I totally get it. Yes, the integration physically and maybe mentally, because at the end of the day, hey, we are Nigerians. Jesus Christ. I mean, I mean, Nigeria, that's not changing for anything in this world.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
it's just in it. I mean, Niger is another thing. I mean, Niger girl, like that's it. There's no,
It
compromise.
cannot go out of the blood, and no, no, never.
No. You can never take the Nigeria leave me out. No. Well, that is very lovely, and I totally, it resonates with me your story, and that's why I say we need to keep talking about this because I think most people sometimes feel like they are alone in their
Mm.
thoughts, in their feelings. Talking about cultural in connection, how do you connect with African roots? Because like you say, you feel like you're integrated and you feel like you've established a home for your child and kind of find a way to call, Belgium your home. But at the same time, how have you been able to connect with your roots back home to say, okay, I'm still in Nigeria and we still like die hard Niger?
Um, I think for the first years, I thought going back home
Oh,
was
really?
the answer to filling that void, because there's always going to be that void. It depends also on how you connect to your homeland.
Mm,
And I did that for the first year, and then like few years later I went back. Well, I haven't been now in like 5 years, so it's like, yeah.
coming back.
um how I tried to do that, what helped me in the first years when I really wanted to make a deep connection with home, as maybe trivial as this may sound, it was literature. I was reading, I connected with Nigerian African literature,
Mm,
helped me because I was looking for something to make me feel like home. So I was trying to, yeah, it's like when you read stories of your homeland, you
mm,
even get to,
to the
it's like
root.
an escape, but then it still opens you up to the things that you didn't think you knew, about, or it resonates and you're like, oh my God,
That's
this
why.
is it, this is, yeah.
Mm,
So yeah, books did help me. I was reading mostly from a Nigerian who had lived in Belgium, and I was reading, her novels, and it was so intriguing to know how she coped. So it was, in a way, I was following her life.
yeah.
So which kind of makes sense what you said, that telling our stories matter, because, sorry to digress, but the before I moved, like, I read an article by this author. It wasn't just a normal article about how she was trying to live in Belgium and all that. It was even my partner that sent me that article then. And and then when I came and the loneliness like hit me deep,
Mm,
I was searching and I found that article again. And I'm like, I've read this article. She was talking about how she navigated, the loneliness in Europe, the culture
mm,
shock, and all that stuff. So because she told her story, even though the
mm,
stories I was reading were fiction, but that article was her life story. It was like,
mm.
if she could make it here, I could do the same. It just really helped me. So there's so much importance in telling your story, like you
There,
said. And
there. I got
literature,
goosebumps.
literature.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, that really makes a lot of sense. I understand it. Thank you. You talked about also when you look at how you have the things that you've achieved. I want to talk about those achievements, those things that when you look, you feel so empowered, like, wow, I did that, regardless of those lonely days that you were able to navigate and you were able to find your balance. How have you been able to, achieve the things that you've achieved? And what are they? Please share with us.
Yeah, what might be an achievement for me might really not be an achievement for another person, but
Darling,
I
your
love
sto-
to
is your
celebrate.
story is your success story. Please take it
Yeah,
proud.
I love to celebrate my whether small or big wins. So it's also nice the way you said what you achieve even while you were experiencing, maybe the loneliness and the hard days. And for me, um it would be my career really as a writer, even though that was a change in what I thought would be a career because I
Mm,
studied psychology. So my goal was to come and, become a psychologist and all of that. I was writing when I was young, but I didn't think I was going to write novels. I thought I would write nonfiction, and that I have written now, but I'm still going to write nonfiction. But novels, that was not my thing. So for me, that was such an achievement that I could um, tell a story in the first years of my life. And it all started with blogging. I was blogging my experience. I was blogging the first first 2 or 3 years. I was here. I was just sharing, and I would get like messages from people also who wanted to move or people who had moved here. So I really saw the importance of
yeah. Again,
sharing your story.
storytelling. Mm,
Yes. And and so for me, writing that book, I remember when I got my copy, I was so emotional because I did a thing. And like I started by saying that what might be an achievement for me might not be for another person, but for me, it really took a lot of being in solitude. I
mm,
don't live in the city here in Belgium, so I'm really secluded from people,
yeah,
and it can be very lonely being a city girl. I lived
yeah.
in Abuja. I am such an Abuja girl. Like, well, not the Abuja girl, if you know.
Okay, just a disclaimer, please.
Yeah, I got a disclaimer. So, but I really, really,
Mm,
it was such a different life for me. So for me to be able to do that without sinking, into that loneliness. Rather, I created something beautiful out of that period of my life is such an achievement for me.
wow,
So yeah,
wow, wow.
that's
Good. Yeah.
yeah, how
So
my
you've been able to create a group or would like say social circle for yourself, and because I can see that you actually have some network of writers, if I'm correct. Again,
Mhm.
I'm trying to really get to know you better. I saw that I was like, oh, this is really lovely, and I see that you start really saying your poetry in on stages and all that, and there's a big event coming up for you, or has it
Yeah,
happened?
it just passed. That didn't happen, unfortunately. Yeah, there was yeah, it was a strange day. It was supposed to be on Saturday. There
Yeah.
was a climate activist blocked the whole thing. So it was a whole
Oh,
police situation. But that's
okay.
by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what you see
Yeah.
came from all these years of building because it is so, so difficult to even get to that point. And I'm just starting.
Yeah.
I know where I want to get to, in terms of my career. And I'm just like, I haven't even scratched the surface, but I'm grateful for where I am because I have always like felt secluded from the creative world in Belgium.
Mm,
Don't forget, it is not an English speaking country. I think you should know that because you lived also in Denmark and you're living in Spain.
yeah.
So for me, even though I speak Dutch, it's not the same in the way that I want to express myself creatively. I would
Mm-mm.
still use my first language, which is English, and so there's always like this. You're not part of a community.
Yeah.
That sense of you're not part of the community, and also I don't live where all the creative activities go on. Brussels, Ghent, Antwerp, the cities where you meet people and connect. So for years, I had always like felt like I don't even know what's happening in this
In the
country,
world. Yeah.
in that creative field. I just didn't know. When I see maybe some African or immigrant who had made it, I would be so excited for them because I'm like, oh my God, how did they break through? Um, until last year, last 2 years, but last year was when it all happened, was when I met a writer who is also he used to be a refugee in England, and he really, really shaped, me breaking through the creative. I don't even think I've broken through, but I'm grateful.
And
That's
you
why.
scratching the surface as you feel.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm, mm,
So, and he has this like festival, this annual creative festival. And so he made me part of the team.
mm.
And it was like an eye opener. I'm like, God, so there's like a whole world of creative here. Oh my God.
Mm,
So that really helped me connect with even people,
mm.
writers from everywhere. They came for the festival last year, and um, I could do something with what I had.
Yeah.
Just helping in that team made me feel like I could do something,
You see,
because
voluntary work, sometimes we really kind of don't want to, you just want to be paid for your job, but sometimes voluntary work really brings you forward because
yeah,
yes, you did it free for today, but tomorrow it's gonna get you paid
yeah,
on the
yeah,
next,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I was even paid because
Oh,
I wasn't,
really? You see, even
yeah,
volunteer,
I
volunteer and they still paid you. That's
I
good.
was paid because I was volunteering. Like it was such a great team. It was a big festival, and
Amazing.
I really could meet writers and I could help. I'm like, I didn't think I had, the skill to that skill that was required of me, but it was left on me. And I'm like, okay, it was something that didn't have to do with writing, but I was happy to bring it brought like another side of me
Yeah.
and also still helped me. So that was the first time I went on stage like in
Wow.
Belgium,
Wow.
because apart from helping the team, this is such a fantastic writer who knew what it felt like to be, secluded, who knew what it felt like to not fit in and not to be part of a community. So he always strived to give platform to immigrants or just,
Lovely. Mm.
yeah. So that
Lovely.
helped me. And then from there, really, you never know how you plant a seed. That's how
Yeah. But you're also
I think
putting yourself forward, huh?
I did.
Yeah.
I did also. That's good that you mentioned this, because after that I'm like, this is really what I want to do. I want to perform poetry. But how?
That's a
The
question.
whole crowd they're speaking either French or Dutch. So it's not even Belgium has three official languages. So
Yeah, you have
German,
the German, you have
yeah,
the Dutch and the
and
French.
French. So I'm like, oh, how would you reach these people? If you're in Brussels, you have to speak French. If you're in Flemish, where I live, you have to speak Dutch. But I was sure that this is what I wanted to do because I
Mm.
enjoyed it. And I went out. I think it was winter time. Yeah, last year I was like, you have to put yourself outside. Now you know what you can do. And I went for Mama's open mic thing, and I just um sometimes I lost my the English word. I registered. I was gonna say screaming. I registered,
Registered.
and I performed, and I just went back home. It was so late. I had to catch my train, and I was like, "Yeah, you did a thing." For me, that
Yeah.
was also a
The
celebration for you did a
win.
thing. Yeah, it wasn't. And 2 weeks later, I got an email from them to be a
Wow.
headliner to come and perform
Wow.
for them. They were going to pay me to be a headliner, and I thought to myself, you really
Wow.
sometimes have to get out of your comfort zone
No,
to.
nothing grows on your sofa, darling. Nothing grows. Like nothing happens sitting on your sofa.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
from that, I have
Yeah.
gotten like other jobs to also do that.
Wow. Wow.
Even this event was
Congratulations.
from them. Like it's crazy because I was really, really, surprised. And then this year also they asked me to come perform. So it's not like I have built a community per se, but I'm building, and I believe that um yeah, I think it would come together.
I
Yeah.
think so. I really feel like, wow, you took it, that taking yourself out to like, okay, register, just go and do it. And like, okay, I did
Yeah.
it. And not having even big expectations, but then something big start happening from that small step that you took. You just know these small initiatives that really, really matters. And it's a big win. It is a big win. It's inspiring. I promise you. You might think it's not so big, but it is big. And it's not easy to get off your sofa because sofa is very comfortable. Your couch is very comfortable. So you need to get
It
out of your
is.
comfort zone and reach out to people, try new things. I really thank you for sharing that. That means so much. Talking about, the community, and the man who you said he's always trying to, create opportunity or give a platform to people, to show what they can do. Talking about that, do you think that African women in diaspora, in Europe, are creating such community are fostering that community of unity, bringing each other along? Do you feel it? Have you felt it?
That's a tricky question.
I know.
That's a tricky question because I be staying minding my business. So I don't want to
Yeah,
say some things and get implicated. So I don't feel it. Maybe also because I don't feel it like as much as it should be, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
But then there's you're
yeah.
doing this.
Thank you.
So this
Thank
is I think it also starts with us. We have to create what we want to see. And I see that you're doing that.
You have to
So we
create
don't
what
have
you
to
want
wait
to
for,
see. Love that.
yeah, we don't have to
Yeah.
wait for, are there African women doing that? I mean, it's good to
Mhm.
find out.
Yeah,
And like I said, I don't see it as much as I would love for
yeah,
it to, be.
yeah,
Um, but I also can say that there are also many reasons as to why that isn't really, there are in so many communities where Africans, African women diaspora bring themselves together
yeah.
and support each other. I think we're just all trying to figure out our lives. And when we move, you become mothers or you have a family to start, and then you're trying to find yourself. And sometimes it can be,
It's
overwhelming,
overwhelming.
but we need it. We do. And honestly, which is why I wouldn't say no, to be interviewed by you, because this is something that I support so much. And sometimes when we speak of support, we always think about being at the forefront. But one way we can also support,
Yeah.
and I still think is actively, you don't have to be at the forefront if you can't, or you don't have the capacity to be at the forefront, but you can support people who are already doing it by showing up for them. So
Yeah.
definitely, if you say, I want to interview Angel, I would definitely show up for you because I see that you're doing something that should be done. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yes, it means so much. Thank you so much. I think, again, I am very bent on this storytelling. I asked that ultimate question: where are we? I'm really searching online African women in diaspora Europe. I barely find that. And I think that's why, sorry. And I think that's why I've been having this itch for almost 2 years now to create this movement. And a lot is happening after this, because the issue is there. It can't stop. It doesn't want to go away. So I think
Keep it going. Don't stop. Never
no, no,
stop.
no, no, no.
Keep
And the
it going.
moment I have the issue, I'm
Definitely.
always like on the go, 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 go. I'll take it as time comes. But someone like you, Angel, really just makes this a huge difference. It's a big impact. And I think someone out there will really like, wow, okay, I'm actually not just by myself. It means a lot. Talking about that, I know you've mentioned about balancing identity, and it's kind of tricky because now your son is from the dad is from Belgium,
That
right?
is Belgium, yeah.
Yes, and then how do you balance your identity being, Dutch, Nigerian? I mean, I don't know if that makes.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, how do you break the balance? Because I think, if I were to say for myself, I mean Nigerian, core Nigerian. I've lived. My husband is Danish, and then my daughter is Danish as well. So I live in Spain, trying to balance that identity. I think I mentioned this in one of my interviews. I said I was initially I used to say my name is Clara Kronberg. When I make a call on the phone, I say if I want to have an appointment, I say, hey, my name is Clara Kronberg, da 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 da. And then I realized that when I show up, they're like, oh, it's you. You know what I mean? So it's like they were expecting a black
Ah,
woman, a colored
yeah.
woman, as in, and so I'm like, okay, let's revisit this again. Clara, my name is Clara Chizoba Kronberg. So I don't miss that Chizoba. So regardless of what you think, first of all, you hear that,
Yeah,
uncommon name, unique
yeah,
name, by the way.
yeah,
That is,
very
yeah.
unique name. Yeah.
Chizoba. So once you see me, you already identify with that, because I do not want to have a mixed identity. How have you balanced yourself? Because I think at the moment I finally balanced it. I think I've got it under
Oh,
control. Being that
good
I
for you,
embrace.
really.
No, I think so. I think so, because I embraced the Africa in me. I embraced it 100%. And the moment I realized that I'm not trying to, I realized that being African is actually my superpower, you know, being
Hmm.
me, like the core
Beautiful.
root of a Nigerian, of an Igbo
That's
woman,
so
is my core
beautiful.
power in this part of the world, which I love as well. But I'm a Nigerian and I cannot run away from that identity. The
Of
moment
course.
I embraced it, everything, you know, sorry, everything, become different. So, how has it been for you to balance that identity?
Um, oh, I see 9 minutes left. I'm gonna
Yeah, no
speak.
worries. We have a few minutes. Yeah.
Balancing the identity for me, I think also what we tend to struggle with most times in terms of identity. Sorry, if you hear cough in the background, we're all sick in this house.
Same. It's the same right here as well.
um, it's running from the fact that identities shift and identities evolve. I think when I had to make peace with that, so there's like this fear we experience when we discover a new aspect or what has been dormant and then it comes alive, maybe due to the move. You know, you move somewhere and then you discover, could be something like, I really, really like tea
Mm,
more than I did when I was back home. It could just be as simple as that. But
yeah,
then you fight it because you're like, but that's not me. That's not me. That's not me. They would think
yeah.
I'm forming or something like that. But that's, those tiny
Thing.
fragments that we get to discover, those tiny bits of ourself, of our being entirely, that we discover. Sometimes it's there or it's always even been there, but we just discover it. I think it doesn't make it doesn't mean that you are losing another aspect of your being, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making
It
sense. Like,
does. It just, you are evolving.
you're evolving, so it doesn't
Evolving.
mean that you're losing a part of yourself.
Mm,
Embrace everything, so there are some things that I naturally wouldn't do, um that I do now in Belgium, and maybe a Nigerian friend will tease and say, you're acting like Oibo, or you're acting
mm,
Belgian and all of that. And
mm.
for me, it's really who I am now. This is a part of me that I have discovered, and I embrace it. It doesn't mean that I have lost
Part of you.
yeah, a part of myself. I embrace, like, as I evolve, my identity is shifting, and I'm happy to learn new things about me. Like, I love to surprise myself, to say, wow, so
Yeah.
this is you.
Yes, yeah, this
So
is lovely.
and I think when we have an open mind, that by understanding that identities evolve, nobody's gonna be stagnant unless you want to anyway. But the identities shift, identities evolve, then we are also open to learning new things about ourselves. So I
Yeah.
definitely don't want to be the same person I was like 10 years ago.
No,
I want to
not even
discover
last
new things.
year.
Each year I want to discover new things
Yeah.
about myself. And that's like so fulfilling. Like, there's a cough in the background. I hope it doesn't affect your
Don't worry about it. Uh, Wow, that no, no, no. I really love it, love it. Okay, you need embracing the new evolvement that comes with life, because we're growing
Yes.
every day. We are really finding out who we are on daily basis. Is a very good way to say it. Talking about back home, what are the expectations that people back home have for you? And again, balancing that expectation and really staying true to yourself as you evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. I I think there will always be expectations
Because you're the
from
big
loved
auntie, you
ones.
live abroad, you have money.
Yes. I was trying to avoid the aspect of this question, but since you shot it anyway, let me just delve into it. Yeah, that whole, they expect you, there's an image they have of you.
Yeah,
And now it's up to you to live up to their expectation, or to live up to your expectation of yourself.
yeah,
But it took me the hard way to learn, and knowing that people's expectation of you shouldn't always matter. That shouldn't define who you are. That shouldn't define what you do even. You might respond to it, but keep in mind that is not what should define, I don't know how to say this, but they do have expectations. For example, when I moved here the first 2 years, you've not gotten a job. You've not started working. You've not doing, and I have to constantly explain that you don't get a job here. You just go get the language learned first. You go learn the language first, and then you can start looking for a job. So, and moving, I think people don't see that aspect. It's like, I see it as starting life again as a baby. You
It's
learn.
just that expectation immediately you move, there's money, waiting for you to be plucked on the train.
No, 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 no. I think your life even really
Literally
degrades.
stopped and start all over.
Yeah, you're learning how to eat new food, how to talk again, because you're learning new tongues, so it's like really a baby, how to crawl, then walk, then fly if you have to, and that's okay. I struggled with that a lot. I did struggle with that, and it kind of affected me in such a negative way, because I would hide where I was, like that phase of my life, from my loved ones, because I felt like I wasn't meeting their expectations of me. I would like and then it got to the point where I just stopped explaining, but then not like avoiding, detaching, and I felt like that was also doing more harm than good. So it's really just sitting in the knowledge of who you are and where you are at every point in your life, and knowing that it's okay. And if you know that you're not supposed to be where you are at that time, knowing that it's okay that I'm here, but I know that I shouldn't be here. I will take steps to get to where I want to get to.
Amazing.
So yeah, that's
Well
I
said.
don't really care. I'm fighting for my life. I'm not going to start fighting for an expectation that is placed on me. So yeah.
Thank you for explaining that. And what advice would you give, African women who have plans, who are living maybe in Nigeria or any part of African country, that have this big dream of having the big perfect life in Europe? What advice would you give them?
I'm sorry that I laughed. Be perfect life.
I mean,
it,
that's the image, that is
yeah, that's
the
also part of the
assumption. It's based on
expectation.
assumption.
Yeah, based on assumption. It's not like it's impossible, it's far-fetched. It exists, and if it's for you, you can achieve that. And for me, it is coming really with an open mind. Like, do it. I always tell people, if you have to travel, if you want to move, do it. It's such a life-changing experience. But keep an open mind, because you're going to be shocked by the tiniest of things and by the big things. Your life changes. You're really, really going to be shocked. Like, yeah, people passing by. You're going to be, yeah, keep an open mind. I had like so many culture shocks, and I'm still having them right now. And keep a mind of adaptation. You have to adapt to certain things, because there will be certain things at certain points in your life when you migrate that will be out of your control. So you have to keep that mind. It's not where you're coming from.
Or the expectation that you have.
Yeah,
This is
it's not.
expectation versus reality. It's
Yeah,
different.
and then you work towards that your expectation. So I'm not saying it's not possible. You work towards the life that you want to have. Yeah, and then but just keep an open mind. When things are not working, know that, okay, this is a phase. This is not working the way I want it now, but it's okay. So
Lovely. Talking about all the things, you've shared so many beautiful stories about yourself, how you're balancing and just being true to yourself, accepting the involvement as a woman and as an African woman living in diaspora in Europe. Let's talk about your achievement, something that you are particularly like, yay, I did that. And this is one thing I'm so proud of. Or I know maybe there might be a lot, but which one would you say is one that you say, wow, you did that, Angel?
I have talked about, I think in a way that I have answered this in one of the questions that
Yeah.
you asked, my career, but
Yeah.
also I like to see migrating really
Mm.
as such a big deal. If you can pack your bags and leave family behind and live the life that you know as an adult, as a child, maybe you can adjust, but as an adult, if you can move, that's something that people should be proud of. We don't speak much about this, but should really, really be proud of trusting the unknown because you don't know.
You actually know, I mean, you nailed it right to the head because it's like if you can pack your bag as an adult and move to a new country, this is a big achievement.
Yeah.
And congratulations, honestly. I think it's
Congratulations to you
to
too.
us, to
You're here,
us.
you're doing it, you're doing amazing. I never really got the chance. I know I like leave you comments on Instagram. I'm happy to be here. You're really doing amazing, really.
Thank
I see the
you.
effort. And I know sometimes we're busy doing it and we maybe are not getting the result that we see in our heads, but it will
Yeah,
come.
yeah.
And but you're so consistent and I really appreciate the work that you're doing. So
Thank
keep
you.
doing it. Yeah.
Thank you means a lot. Yes, sometimes you like, but once you keep bleeding it, again, the itch doesn't go away. It doesn't want to go. I run and I come back.
Yes, yeah, it's called purpose.
It is.
When
Yeah.
you know, and that's like something that people go through life without even um finding, and if you once you know that this is the path you're supposed to be
Yeah.
working on,
Yeah.
it doesn't leave you unless you want to
No.
ignore it. But there's like this voice in your head that makes you,
Oh.
just
Even
act
if
on
you
it.
ignore it, then you kind of become sick. It's a big. I know this is my calling. This is my part. I can't run away from it. I have tried so many things, and regardless of how much money you make on the other things, you are sleeping, you are drinking, you are dreaming this. This is it. And
Yes,
this
that's
is
your
it.
purpose.
It's my
Yeah, that's
purpose,
your
it's my passion,
purpose.
it's my baby. I breathe it, I love it, like it gives me life. I'm alive in that moment. It's
You're
insane,
even
I'm
glowing
alive.
as you're saying it. You're shining, you
Oh,
shine, you talk about it. So you do it effortlessly. So I'm so
yeah.
happy for you. I'm happy that you found your purpose. And I hope that even as you evolve, that you keep taking, brave steps to walk in those purpose.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And you
But
too, and you
just
too.
thought to cut you there to say this now that it's in my head.
Thank
So
you. Thank you. You too. You too. You do. I do.
go
And I
on with your questions.
Well, I am so happy that you shared your story. I think this is so brilliant. We can, of course, keep diving in to find, for you to share more things. But actually, on quickly, you wrote a book called Sundays
Yeah.
and Days of Silence. Can you
Yes.
briefly just highlight why did you write the book and, what did you feel you achieved from it? As a writer, I know you're right, and you know, how did this seeing your own book make you feel, and what
Hmm.
impact did you expect that it will have in the society? A lot of questions,
Yeah.
but
You
yeah.
you touched the spot that I would also smile about, So yeah. The Days of Silence is my debut. So I really, like I was saying, how the process of writing it was in solitude, and my first years here, I while I was digesting stories from home, it also encouraged, inspired me to write my own story,
Mm.
about Nigeria. So even though it's fiction, a lot of inspiration from we're gotten from, my own lived experience, as a Nigerian young girl. So yeah, that helped me. That longing I used all of that longing to, I poured everything in the book. So
Mm.
that was for the Days of Silence. And then for Sundance is just few months ago released. That is a self-published project. That means a lot to me because
Self-published,
yeah,
but
yeah. But yeah, that's another topic.
another achievement that you
That
did.
topic.
It's a big deal.
And
I know.
I Yeah, that's poetry. It's like a healing diary. That's
Mm,
what's in it. So it's like a healing journal. And it's not because I wrote it. I recommend Sundance for people because even when you say, oh, it's poetry, I don't really like poetry. Sundance will, when you finish reading Sundance, it will prove to you that, oh, wow, it's not just poetry because it's a very small book, but poetry allows me to express myself in the way that I want to. With fiction, I do, and I hide behind characters and all that stuff. You know, I can spread my personality into 4 characters,
yeah.
but with poetry, I just express myself. It's a very raw book. Like the
Wow.
things I would never say in fiction, I had put in Sundance, you know,
Oh,
and
wow.
most
Yeah.
of it, yeah, those are my experience and for me, it was also like breaking a circle of shame. Writing Sundance for me was breaking a circle of shame. It was a healing process for me.
Wow.
So, um,
Okay, now I must get it. How can we get it?
please do,
You
please do. I
sold
would
it.
have.
You literally sold it. You
Yeah,
know?
it's yeah, I've heard people say, yeah, I probably can't relate with every poem, but there's always something for you. I don't know. There's like
Yeah.
something for everyone, just little gems in there. So and yeah, I thought it was necessary for me to write. It took me years. Sundance has been in the making even before anything called novels. It's because I was journaling. So Sundance is like revealing my journal to people. That was the book. Yeah. Of
Wow.
course, it's curated, but there
Yeah.
were some things that I just left like raw. Like this is this is how it should be also. If you want to heal, you have to be truthful with yourself. You have to call the thing by its name. You have to talk about shame. And for me, writing Sundance, there are certain things now I can confidently talk about without being ashamed
Oh,
because
wow.
there's such a huge shame that is attached to trauma
Yeah.
and that was really, really, that helped me. We're still healing, but yeah,
The journey.
that's,
It's a journey, like you
yeah.
said, we are evolving, constantly evolving. And really, like you really saw Sundance and the Days of Silence. How can we get the book? Is it on Amazon or
Sundance is on Amazon. It's everywhere on Amazon. In Europe, Canada, US, UK, it's on Amazon.
right?
It's
Mm.
not the same quality as the ones that I printed. So I always like to make that disclaimer. Like maybe when they see me package it on Instagram, they're like, oh, why did I get something
Why
different?
did you get a different thing? It's of
I
course.
have something I have bought, so just to briefly show you. This is this
Ah,
is this is what I did. So it's a hardcover and it's really,
yeah.
really it's bigger than this is like a pocket size book, from
Yes,
Amazon.
yes, yes.
They don't really
No,
do.
but we can order direct from you through DM or something,
Yeah,
right?
true DM.
Okay, I'm
Like
gonna
if
put your
some
handle.
people say I want a signed copy and I send to them.
Yeah, lovely,
It's,
lovely. Okay.
it's
Well,
not
I'm gonna send you a DM and I want a signed copy as well, darling. I don't want the one you get from Amazon.
And for me, it's the same, from me, from Amazon. It's not, and
Of
I
course.
appreciate it. I
Yes,
appreciate,
of
I
course.
appreciate the support. That means a lot to me, really, because like I said, it's self-published. So,
Yes.
um,
It's
yeah.
not easy. It's not easy. This is another topic for another day because
It's
I
another topic for another day.
there's a lot of things.
Yeah, let's not
Oh,
start
wow.
about that.
But
Yeah,
that's the thing because people look at the finished work and they don't really see the process, the journey to the finished work. And this is why, again, moments like these are very important for you to kind of, review the piece of the journey or how it has
absolutely.
been for you to be where you were. And honestly, looking at you, you're very poetic, in your looks, in the way you talk. Yeah,
What does that
actually.
mean?
No, the way you talk, you are more very subtle. I'm more loud. I'm a very loud
I'm
person. I'm like,
loud. Like I
you're like
even
that.
feel like the whole house is hearing me talk right now
Oh,
because I'm like,
really? You're
yes.
whispering in my ears. Come to my house and see what screaming is about. I'm the
I think
screamer.
that I always like I have to explain myself. I tell my husband, I tell people at home, look, In Nigeria, the volume is louder. Like,
Oh,
no, we're not shouting, we're talking. This is how we
this is
talk.
how we are.
Yes, yes. So
Oh,
I can't believe that it feels like I'm whispering. Like I feel so like I'm shouting and everybody
really?
can hear my
The voice
conversation.
is
Yeah.
very subtle, like it's the music to my ear. Don't.
No. No,
Oh, Angel.
this is how
Thank
I
you
talk. And
so
then when
much.
I'm gisting with my friends also, the volume goes even louder, like that's a Niger thing and that cannot be taken.
Amazing. Thank you so much for this lovely time.
Thank you
Final
so much.
question.
Okay.
How do you think African women in diaspora can continue to, use our voices, tell our stories, in different ways? How do you think we can unite and really show what we are made of or what we are capable of? Because another thing, when I send you a message or request for this interview, I told you the whole purpose is also to change the narrative around African women in diaspora in Europe. The stereotype around when you see an African woman in Europe, you already there's this automatic sense of being saved. Oh, she was rescued. She's with a rich.
I'm sorry, this is
Oh,
so funny when you say this. Like I know what
I
you
mean,
mean, but it's just the way you're saying it. Like
but it's true. I mean, I've been told so many times that right on my face. So
Mm,
that's why it's easier for me to say it because I've
yeah,
really
it's
experienced it
crazy, yeah,
directly.
because to the audacity to think
Mm.
that you have no essence.
No, exactly. That's the thing.
The
They just
audacity to think that you have no essence, you have to be in the shadow of someone or you have to be saved to even be seen that you exist is the
exactly.
audacity
Yeah.
for me. That's something that I can't even wrap my head around.
It's still, but I'm over it. I mean,
Yeah,
but
and
how do
that's
you think we can really, continue to change this narrative, continue to make it positive? The stereotype got to be good. We got to have that. Wow, what a powerhouse! They are good.
yeah. I think also, first of all, to unburden ourselves
Mm,
with the stupid opinion about people because that's not our problem. That's the first thing first. It's not your problem how people think about you. That's on them. That also shows the level of consciousness that they have within them. That's really not your problem. How someone thinks about you, whether they have this narrative, it can be painful, when these generalizations come up. It can be really annoying when you excuse me, as an African have to, especially as an African woman in diaspora, have to prove yourself twice. These struggles exist and it's very okay to talk about them,
yeah.
but I'm not doing it to educate you. I'm not doing it to change your mind because for
Mhm,
how long and for how many people am I going to continue to do that for? It
mhm.
is true that I have to constantly prove myself. If you trying to get a job, you have to prove yourself twice,
That's
do you speak the language perfectly enough? Even when you speak the language, are you qualified to enjoy all the benefits of a job, or you're good to do the trash work, or like not to demean any kind of job, but like to do the one that that you're more qualified for, if
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yes.
So this is the first step for me. I have stopped explaining myself. I don't care what you think. If you think I'm saved, good for you. People speak at the level that they have met themselves. People meet you at the level that they have met themselves. So that's on them, one. And then two, to keep showing up authentically, like as who you are. Because sometimes the actions will speak louder than what you even say. You can explain from now till tomorrow someone's perception about you or about
Mm-mm.
African women in diaspora. It's not going to change. How many speeches are you going to give to change that? Those are necessary because
However,
really
the
sometimes
action.
people speak from a place of ignorance, but they're willing to learn. That's excusable, you understand? But so
Mm,
you have a forum to speak about these issues. I mean, do so by all means, grab the opportunity. But I'm not going to live my life trying to prove something to you,
mhm,
So show up as you are. Your light, there's something about light. It
mm.
just cannot dim. If it shines from within,
That's
it
right.
can't dim. Like, when you are walking in your elements, like I always say, when you're walking your element, when you're doing, there's such a glow to you, like you've been asking questions effortlessly. Even when I see your post, it just comes like, I know that there are struggles,
Yeah.
but you make it look easy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's the light.
Yeah.
That's the force about you.
Yeah.
So when you show up as you are and not be ashamed, not try to filter your story, you tell the story as it is,
Yeah.
and you're doing it with the right intention, which is really just to tell your stories. Storytelling in itself has so much power that you don't need to explain storytelling. Storytelling liberates people.
Yeah.
The power of storytelling is like a ripple effect. Someone shares their story or shows up authentically themselves. You hear it, it resonates. Oh my God, I can relate with this. It inspires you to tell your story, just like the example of the writer who lived in Belgium.
Yeah.
I felt inspired to also tell my story. I tell my story. Someone maybe listens to this interview, says, "Oh, wow. Oh, she's living it and she's doing it." And they also feel inspired to, show up as themselves, authentically. So that is the power of storytelling that doesn't even need an extra explanation.
Yeah.
And what you're doing, you're so on point. This aspect of interview is also to go deep into the lives of people who
Yeah.
you see and you admire and you don't even
Yeah.
know, you're
Yeah.
curious. So this is
Even
very
I didn't even know you were Nigerian, like, and I didn't
that
know
one we're gonna fight about
that
off
one you
camera.
kill me forever, and I apologize.
But yeah, so that's already the power of storytelling. And so you owe yourself really to bloom and to show up the way you are. Really just keep showing up, keep doing what you know to do best, keep you're also breaking barriers and also changing the narrative just
Yeah.
by showing up
Yeah.
without even having to explain yourself. Because it's like, I remember I used to work in the office and they would say to me, a colleague said to me once, "Where did you learn to read and write?"
Oh.
And I had a good laugh because it's not on me. It's your naive mind. It's not on me,
Mm.
It's
Oh,
not me.
yeah.
It's you. So
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
all you know. It means also how far your mind can think.
Yes. Naiveness. Some people are just so
Yeah.
naive, they generalize Africa.
Yes.
It's just so, yeah, anyway.
So I'm not going to sit there and start saying, "Oh, I'm angry. This person said this to me. I'm angry."
No,
No, I
no.
show up and I show out.
Yes.
It's you who will be there thinking about what did you just experience? What did you just witness?
Yes.
I am who I am. And if my light is too much for you whenever I show up,
Wear
I'm sorry,
glasses.
I'm going to be the one who's going to excuse me because it's really just in knowing who you are. And yeah, that's the way that I can say that I live.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think most of us African women in diaspora in Europe should really, take note of this and live your authentic self. Stop apologizing and stop excusing people's naivety. Just live your life and stop apologizing for being who you are. Thank you. This means so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I am going to leave you to go back to your family.
Yes,
I wish
yeah.
you a very wonderful, wonderful holidays. Enjoy
You
it.
too.
Stay tuned for more of Women's World Show, more interesting stories from amazing women here with us in Women's World Show.